Hi, my name's Jane Ann Franklin, and I'm the assistant mammal curator at the Louisville Zoo. Who would ever think that a little bear born at about a pound could influence so many lives? Kunuk is Inupiat for snowflake. It's also the name for the oil field that this little bear came from. She was seen by a ConocoPhillips oil crew, and this cub started a chain of communication that would impact the entire zoo community, as well as the Metro Louisville community and the global zoo community. After a couple of months of intensive rehabilitation and care at the Alaska Zoo, coming from one of the harshest and unforgiving environments on the planet, starting out at 15 pounds upon recovery, the odds were not in Kunuk's favor. It was decided that she would come to the Louisville Zoo. Needless to say, I was very surprised and apprehensive. The eyes of the global zoo community were upon us. Not one detail was left to chance. This animal move was like no other I'd ever been a part of. Jump seat training began in Louisville and finished in Alaska. Plans for care of a bear in the air were prepared and rehearsed. The route of the flight was scrutinized. Preparation for oxygen administration to a wild cub in the event of loss of cabin pressure was written down. Monitoring of temperature and flight snacks were arranged for the bear. Transporting a bear takes coordination between several different groups: the Department of Agriculture, Fish and Wildlife, Alaska Zoo, Louisville Zoo, the Polar Bear Management Group, and UPS. Written plans are submitted and require approval. The plane we flew on was loaded, so that Kunuk was first on and first off. We flew nonstop from Anchorage to Louisville in 5 hours and 25 minutes. Once at the zoo, settling in was priority one. And the toys that Kunuk had in Alaska were some of the same toys we brought back to Louisville, so she was comfortable. A Rubbermaid tub that she was very accustomed to was there waiting for her, waiting with other new bear-proof toys. The reality of this impact was evident the day after arrival. A press conference including UPS representatives, our flight crew, local news reporters, representatives from the Polar Bears International Fish and Wildlife were present at the official announcement that Kunuk was here, and she was to be raised there. The real work had begun about 6 weeks before for me. Creating a behavior management plan for an orphan polar bear was not on the radar. Becoming a polar bear mom was the most important thing to Kunuk. Creating a sense of security and safety for this little bear was absolutely imperative. Observing her behavior was a 12-hour-a-day project. Recording it was very important. The last ones had been done at the San Diego Zoo. Always being there when a brief threatening event may occur, my job was to control my very own responses to external stimuli so that she would not get excited or agitated at anything. She would read me, she would turn and look at me, and I'd just have to hold my breath if it scared me. I didn't want it to scare her. Getting used to this little bear, swimming, going underwater, and coming up across the pool was one of the most nerve-wracking experiences I've ever had. Watching her learn to hold her breath and experimenting with things, getting under the iceberg, figuring things out, knowing that I would have to do something if something awful were to happen. Introducing new experiences and new adventures was a calculated and intuitive process. I could plan and plan, but most of the time, Kunuk had another plan all ready to go. Her ability to self-occupy, create new games, and make complex toys amazes me even today. Once out of quarantine, sharing this little bear with the community was the next goal for us. The addition of other surrogate parents included Kevin Grizzle, Tracy Parks. Steve Taylor was always around and helping with making sure we had just the right amount of stimulation, new toys versus old toys. We keep track of her behavior and what she plays with, how long she swims, and to this day, we still do that. Kunuk opened another door. Because we were around her all of the time we were at the zoo, usually 8 to 10 hours a day, we were also around the visiting public. This allowed us to have direct contact with our visitors. Telling her story of being orphaned for some reason allowed a personal touch to the visit to Glacier Run. Interpreting why we do what we do and how we do what we do let the visitors into a place they'd never been. Allowing visitors to have direct contact with the people closest to Kunuk, an insider's perspective, if you will, being allowed to describe the importance of choices for our animals, the importance of taking care of our environment, and the importance of allowing Kunuk to develop at her very own rate, made it very important that we continue this type of interaction with our public. Being acutely aware of any change or attitude, adjustments were made daily. Always with a watchful eye, I would try very hard not to react to a very brave and sometimes daredevil bear, being the constant in this creature's little life. Kunuk began diving longer periods of time in the large pool, swimming harder, and practicing techniques of an adult polar bear of stalking and pouncing. We celebrated a milestone in January with her first birthday. She was given the birthday by Fish and Wildlife because we have no real idea of when she was born, probably in January, at about a pound, totally helpless, totally dependent upon her mother. And at about 4 months of age, she emerges from a den with her mother having lost 50% of her body weight and heading for the sea ice to hunt seals. Instead of heading for sea ice, Kunnick is learning a set of skills that allow her to thrive in captivity and become a true ambassador for her species and the environment that she came from. Her skills never cease to amaze me. She has a particular affinity for balance. I've watched her balance on an edge of something that's an inch wide, and you can see here in this slide, that's pretty amazing that she surfs on a regular basis. She takes that up to the window and scares the snot out of kids too, because she bangs on the window really hard. There are always these silly antics that she has. Luckily in captivity, there's an outlet for this silliness without the cost of being off guard. Trial and error are part of life for all of us, and she is no exception. Watching her figure out how something works or how to get something she wants is fascinating. In her little brain, you can just see it working. I'm ever thankful to have been able to experience her journey, but this is just the tip of the iceberg for this little bear. At about 300 pounds now, starting off at 67, watching her inspire people to think about our place and someplace other than the city of Louisville, Kentucky has been eye-opening. She's touched many, many lives, and she will continue to do so. The final slide that you guys will see, it sums it all up for me. She looks right at people. She engages everyone, small children in particular, and she actually really loves the color orange and yellow. So if you're out there, wear orange or yellow, she'll come right to you. Thank you all very much.